Chapter 335 Astonishment. Seeing that Sun Ergo's face had broken out in a cold sweat, Han Li knew that his limit had been reached and prepared to give a few benefits to him. Enough. In the future, you can continue to act as gang leader Sun. If there is nothing that I need you for, then I won't be coming to find you. However, I must tell you that I do not know when we'll meet again. As such, you should take this and put it away. In the future, your descendants will be able to recognize me with this item. So long as your descendants are willing to serve me, I will protect their lives, wealth, and prestige. As Han Li said this, he took out a sheet of common blank talisman paper. Swoosh. He clearly tore it in two and handed one half to Sun Ergo while putting away the other. When Sun Ergo first heard Han Li's words, he first appeared astonishment. Soon after, he appeared wrapped with joy and knelt down in front of Han Li. He sincerely kowtowed, knocking his head 3 times against the ground. He then raised his head and earnestly said, "Many thanks for young master's great kindness. Young master, please be at ease. My Sun clan shall revere young master for many generations and will never renege on this agreement. Else, my clan may face extermination and calamity." With that said, Sun Ergo kowtowed, knocking his head against the floor once more before standing up with a respectful appearance. Han Li was somewhat startled from seeing this. His original intention was to coax Sun Ergo. But he hadn't thought that with a mere promise, that he would be rendered grateful to the point of tears. But after a moment of thought, Han Li came to a realization. In the mortal world, the continuation of one's bloodline along with their clan's prosperity were most important. As such, it was natural for Han Li's guarantee of the prosperity of Sun Ergo's later generations to be met with sincere servitude. After all, Han Li hadn't given Sun Ergo any unreasonable orders these past years. As such, he felt that having his descendants continue to serve Han Li was best. With that figured out, Han Li felt quite happy. Having Sun Ergo handle his affairs sincerely instead of half-heartedly would be of much greater effect. Good. Since you've now sincerely paid allegiance to me, I will naturally leave behind a few good benefits. Take these 2 pill bottles. This bottle is filled with medicine that is used for the treatment of external wounds. So long as they still draw breath, they will make a full recovery. As for the other bottle, it is the same as the poison detoxification pill I gave you before and will cure all poisons under the heavens. These should help preserve your life. With a flip of his hand, 2 exquisite porcelain bottles appeared in his hand and he handed them over to Sun Ergo with a calm expression. Sun Ergo naturally felt grateful beyond words and would later strive his hardest. Afterwards, Han Li gave a few warnings to Sun Ergo before having Sun Ergo respectfully send him off, flying away from the headquarters of the 4th level gang. This backup plan still continues to exist, but when will I next have a use for it? Han Li silently thought. He was standing at the edge of a street and had turned his head to look around. He had just arrived at the Li estate underneath the pitch-black night. In an instant, his figure blurred and he flew toward the sky on a magic tool. Not long after, he was above the Li estate. Taking advantage of the curtain of the night, Han Li effortlessly descended from the sky and made use of several concealment techniques, noiselessly disappearing into the Li estate. With his previous experience of infiltrating Prince Sin's mansion, Han Li was able to skillfully restrain powerful experts with soul-lock talismans and use the soul-controlling technique to inquire about the Rainbow Sect Master's whereabouts. The result left Han Li quite happy. The Rainbow Sect Master was not in a heavily guarded location such as the back mansion and was instead located at his second son's residence. It seemed as if he was discussing a few matters with him. After interrogating a servant in the side garden, Han Li turned him into ash with a fireball without hesitation. Since this person had heard his questions and voice, he couldn't mercifully spare his life. Soon after, Han Li slipped past layers of sentries and arrived at the front of a large courtyard. What he saw left him surprised. 4 white-clothed men were securely guarding the courtyard gate. Their temples were tense and their eyes attentively shot in every direction. They appeared to be extremely skilled martial artists. Han Li wrinkled his brow. It seemed these were the Rainbow Sect Master's personal guard. As they were posted outside, it was likely that the Rainbow Sect Master was currently inside. Han Li coldly glanced at the 4 guards and pondered for a moment. In a blur, he suddenly appeared in front of them. The 4 white-clothed men were greatly startled and immediately thought to act. However, Han Li's body grew blurry once more and turned into 4 afterimages that simultaneously waved their hands toward the 4. Suddenly, the 4 guards silently fell to the floor as corpses. Each of the corpses had a glistening ice spike protruding from their hearts and were covered in a layer of white frost. Han Li expressionlessly turned their corpses into ash with fireballs and arrogantly pushed open the gates, entering the courtyard. On the way there, Han Li had already searched the Li estate once through with his spiritual sense. He had found no cultivators, setting his heart at ease and kindling his desire to kill. It seemed the Rainbow Sect Master would truly die by his hand. Han Li had already made up his mind. Once he entered the courtyard, he would just kill everyone. If he left behind any witnesses, Spirit Beast Mountain cultivators would investigate a rather troublesome matter. With that thought, he walked into the courtyard filled with the desire to kill. But when he clearly saw the scene there, he stopped in his tracks. There was a young woman in the courtyard embracing a 3-year-old girl and singing a lullaby for her. Although this woman had lowered her head and he could not clearly see her face, her gentle, loving voice caused even Han Li to clearly feel the love the woman had for the child. Such a scene was far beyond Han Li's expectations. The desire to kill had unknowingly disappeared from his mind and he now found himself in a difficult dilemma. This woman was the young sect master's wife. However, Sun Ergo hadn't mentioned that they had a young daughter. Because Han Li hadn't concealed his movements when he entered, the woman knew someone had entered, despite not raising her head. Eventually, she stopped singing her enchanting lullaby and unhappily said, "You're not going to speak? I had you wait outside so you wouldn't wake up my Yinning." With that said, the young woman coldly turned her head. She had clearly considered Han Li to be one of those 4 guards. After the young woman and Han Li saw each other's appearances, they both cried out in surprise. "It's you. What are you doing here?" The expressions on young woman's face continuously changed from clear and dark. Her beautiful face was covered in shock while containing a trace of bewilderment. She appeared as if she had been caught having an affair while in bed with another man. It was quite ridiculous. Han Li did not find this funny in the slightest and his expression became extremely unsightly. After a long while, Han Li lightly sighed away a breath of his melancholy and coldly said, "Should I address you as Senior Martial Sister Mo? Or would Mistress Li be better? What will it be, Mo Yuju?" This young woman was actually the eldest among the 3 Mo sisters. During that year, she had a majority of Jiayuan City's young masters head over heels for her, the peerless beauty of her generation that had no mind for others. Although she was now dressed as a young married woman, her beauty hadn't faded in the slightest, still revealing an astonishing charm that would drive men wild. Having heard Han Li's words, Mo Yuju's face became incomparably pale. She lost the strength in her legs and her body swayed, nearly causing her to fall on her backside along with her child. "Yuju. Why do I hear an unfamiliar voice? Who are you speaking with?" The people inside the house seemed to sense that something was amiss outside. The speaker's voice sounded familiar to Han Li. The house door opened, revealing an old man with white hair and a 30-year-old youth. During the day, Han Li had previously seen the young Master Li at the fragrant restaurant. As for the old man, his hair was as white as snow and though his face was wrinkled and red, it gave an amiable impression. When he saw Han Li, his face appeared slightly strange. "This person is the Rainbow Sect Master?" Han Li turned his ice-cold gaze to the old man, asking Mo Yuju without a trace of politeness. However, Mo Yuju could not speak. She was tightly embracing her young daughter, and was staring at Han Li with her mouth rigidly shut. "Who are you? What did you do to my wife?" When the youth saw that an unknown young man was standing in the courtyard, he was stunned. But when he heard him call her Mo Yuju, he grew furious and charged forward, wanting to teach Han Li a lesson. However, before he had even taken a step forward, the Rainbow Sect Master stopped him and calmly said, "You are grown now, but yet you so recklessly want to charge forward." This person was capable of silently charging through our expert guards. He is certain to be no simple character. Do not be spurred into taking action. As expected, this old man was quite capable. From the Rainbow Sect Master's careful gaze, he was able to deduce that Han Li was not a common character. If he truly was a Foundation establishment cultivator, Han Li was certain to be very cautious and view him as a formidable opponent. Unfortunately, he was but a mortal with a sharp mind. In terms of absolute power, Han Li wouldn't even put him into his eyes.